What's going on, guys? My name is Frank Giogo, and today we're going to go over body recomposition and how to effectively build muscle while losing fat, right? One of the most common things I hear from people all the time is, right now I'm focused on losing weight. When I reach my goal, then I'm going to start worrying about building muscle. And I'm sorry if you've said this before, that's actually one of the dumbest things you could say. So today I'm going to show you why building muscle while losing fat is actually smarter and a much more effective way of transforming your body. And of course, I'm going to go into how you can start doing so right now, how you can start practicing body recomposition today. So if this is your first time watching any of my trainings, then I want you to do me one favor. Go ahead and comment the word first time. And if you are a returning viewer, if you've seen any of my other trainings before on alcohol, on HIIT workouts, any other trainings I've done, then comment the word returning. So without further ado, let's jump in. So this is my client, Sam. This is Sam P. Sam worked with me a couple months back, and when Sam first started, he was at about 260. He had been working out on his own. He dropped down from about 280 to 260, and then the scale just stopped moving. For some reason, he didn't know why. I understood why, but he didn't know why the scale just wouldn't move. He was stuck at a plateau for over 6 months. When he lost the 20 pounds on his own, he would run 4 to 5 times a week. He was doing intermittent fasting. He was eating healthy, or as healthy as he thought he was doing, right? So he did lose the weight. You will lose weight when you do that, when you just eat less and move more. Anybody will lose weight by eating less and moving more. But eventually, as with Sam, the scale will get stuck. Not only that, you'll have less energy, and of course, worst of all, even though you'll weigh less, your body won't be that much different, right? So he weighed less, but he still had the belly fat, he still had the love handles, he still had the man boobs, he still didn't look the way he wanted, right? So it wasn't until he switched his programming, until he started working with me, that not only did he drop 32 pounds in 3 months, he also changed his body composition. If you look at his pictures, his stomach went down, he lost his belly fat, his chest tightened up a little bit, he lost the man boobs. Overall, his physique just firmed up a little bit more, right? He looked leaner, he looked more toned, he had more muscle definition, and best of all, he felt better. He felt his best, right? So if you've ever been in a similar position where you lost the weight, but then you hit a plateau, and worst of all, you felt tired and your body still didn't look how you wanted it to look, then once again, pause the video, comment the word stuck, or just keep the video going and comment the word stuck. I like having this. I just want to know who's watching and if anything I'm saying resonates with y'all. So go ahead and comment the word stuck. So, like I said, the biggest mistake people make when they're trying to change their body, transform their body, is focusing on weight loss as opposed to fat loss. So many people say, oh, I'm going to start losing weight first, and then when I hit my weight goal, then I'll start building muscle. And the issue with that is you typically end up having the same body composition. Yes, you will weigh less, but your body will still look the same. You still have the man boobs, you still have the back fat, you still have the belly fat, right? And you're still not satisfied with how you look. To make matters worse, when you go about doing things the same way Sam did, you will end up hitting a plateau. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You will end up hitting a plateau. And I don't know about you guys, but typically when people hit plateaus, they get frustrated and they quit. When you get frustrated and you quit, you're not gonna make any more progress, right? So a lot of people end up getting stuck in that yo-yo cycle. They lose weight, then they hit a plateau, they get frustrated, they quit, they gain the weight, then they start again, lose weight, quit, frustrated, gain the weight. So it's the same constant cycle of losing, gaining, losing, gaining, losing, gaining. And it's very frustrating. But the truth is, it doesn't have to be that way. There's actually an easier way. It is possible to build muscle and lose fat at the same time. And in fact, when you go about it doing it this way, the results are much better. And it's much easier, especially if you're a first time or you're newer to the gym. So let's dive into it. Another person who had something similar happen to her was my client, Maya. So if you look at Maya, this is from when she worked with me. Before she worked with me, Maya was at about 280. calories. She was at about 300 calories. She dropped down from about 300 to 280 on her own. Majority of what she did was drastically cut her calories. When she started with me, she was barely eating 1,500 calories a day. At the weight she was at how active she was, she had no business eating only 1,500 calories a day. So once again, when you eat less and move more, you will lose weight. She was taking fat burners, eating a lot less food than she needed, and she didn't know what to do in the gym, so she would just head into the gym and do the Stairmaster for about 45 to 60 minutes. So again, she lost the weight, but eventually she hit that plateau and the scale just wouldn't move no matter what she did. You know what happened when she hit that plateau? She got frustrated, she quit, and then she just went back to her old habits, eating however she wanted, not moving as much, not taking fat burners. So she got stuck in that cycle I told you about. She would fall off track, get back to her old habits, then get back on track. And the cycle repeated over and over and over again. So it wasn't until she started working with me that she finally broke through that 280 range that she was stuck at. She lost 60 pounds in 7 months simply by doing body recomposition and changing how she was approaching this. The goal was not even for her to lose weight specifically, but more so to lose fat. But the thing is, when you focus on losing fat, you lose weight. When you focus on losing weight, you lose fat and you lose muscle, which makes it hard for you in the long run, right? Still on the same page? Cool. So the issue with the approach that most people take when they're trying to lose weight is it's actually a lot. There's a lot of issues with that approach that a lot of people take. Like I said, when you're focused on losing weight, you end up losing fat and you end up losing muscle mass, right? When you're focused on losing fat, you end up preserving muscle mass but losing fat. So the number one mistake a lot of people make is they're focusing too much on the scale, right? It's less so about how much you weigh, but how much body fat you have, because the body fat is what determines how you look. You can have two people that weigh the exact same, but the one with less body fat will look completely different than the one with more body fat, right? So don't focus too much on the scale, because when you focus on the scale, you do the craziest things that people do to lose weight. You can lose 10 pounds in a day by wearing a sauna suit and running. I've been there. I used to be a wrestler. I used to wear sauna suits and run endlessly and starve myself, and I would lose weight. But just because I lost the weight does not mean I lost the fat. And typically, when you do stuff like that, when you do a lot of cardio, you restrict your calories, you do all these drastic things, typically, when you stop, when you get back to doing what you normally do, you end up gaining the weight once again, right? And that's what both Maya and Sam experienced. Number two is, the second mistake people typically make is getting into a crazy caloric deficit. As Maya did, she cut her calories down from over 2,500 down to 1,500. Normally, to maintain, she would have been eating about 3,000 calories. She was eating half her maintenance. So of course you will lose weight, but the thing with that is, you will lose weight, but eventually you will hit a plateau, because it's slowing down your metabolism. Your body is getting used to only getting a certain number of calories per day. So it starts to adapt to that, meaning it doesn't burn more than that because it knows that that's all it's going to get that day. So extreme caloric deficits work until they don't. The third mistake people make when they're trying to lose weight is excess cardio with minimal strength training. There's nothing wrong with cardio. I love cardio as much as the next person. I play soccer. I love running. I love walking on the treadmill, right? But when you're doing a lot of cardio and you're not building any muscle through strength training, right? Eventually, you're actually tearing down the muscle mass that you have. And when you destroy your muscle mass, you're actually impacting your metabolism, meaning your body is not as efficient at burning calories, meaning you actually have to do a lot more to burn the same amount of calories, right? So that third biggest mistake, that might be one of the biggest things people do. They just do a lot of cardio, no strength training. And then sometimes there are people who do strength train, who do lift weights, but they don't do any progressive overload. I know you've seen the women at the gym, even the men actually, who have the 5-10 pound dumbbells, and they're on those same dumbbells for weeks, if not months at a time, doing the little curls, the little lat raises. That's not doing anything, right? You build muscle by pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. You build muscle by being uncomfortable. Muscle doesn't happen from actually lifting weights. It happens from you tearing down your muscle fibers and your body repairing those muscle fibers to be stronger. So if you're not forcing your body to repair, if you're not tearing them down, there's no way you're actually building muscle, right? So just lifting weights is not enough. You actually do have to have some level of progressive overload, right? That's the next mistake. Number 5 is not paying attention to macronutrients. I have been a trainer for over 8 years now. Most people do not eat enough protein. Most people don't even know what macronutrients are. Most people consume way too many carbs and way too much fat, but don't even pay attention to protein. So if you're trying to do body recomposition, you do have to pay attention to protein. You do have to pay attention to how much carbs you're having, how much fats you're having, because that makes a huge difference. It's not enough to be in a caloric deficit. You also have to pay attention to your macronutrients, right? And then the last mistake is an over-reliance on supplements. I always hear people ask, oh, coach, what's the best pre-workout to take? What's the best fat burner that you recommend? What's the best protein powder? You don't need any of those. It's in the word, supplement. Supplement. It supplements what you're doing in the gym. If you're doing the right things in the gym, you actually don't need any of these supplements, because you'll be losing weight, you'll be building muscle regardless. If you're getting your protein from actual food sources, you don't need to supplement with a protein powder, right? If you're getting plenty of sleep, you don't need to supplement by drinking energy drinks. So don't rely on supplements. Instead, focus on the gym and nutrition. So what exactly is the solution to this? So I've showed you guys all this stuff of what not to do. So what are you supposed to do? The solution is body recomposition. Let's get into it. So body recomposition is ideal because it focuses not on weight loss, but on fat loss, right? When you're losing fat, you're also preserving muscle mass. If you're focused on losing fat, you lose weight. If you focus on losing weight, you lose fat and muscle mass. So when you focus on losing fat, you keep as much muscle as possible, and it makes your metabolism efficient, meaning you don't have to do as much to burn calories. Because you're building muscle, because you're preserving muscle mass, your body's becoming so much more efficient at burning calories while at rest. Once again, if I'm sitting here with somebody who weighs the exact same as me, but I have more muscle mass and they have more body fat, I'll be burning way more calories than they're burning just because of the muscle mass on me. So number 1, body recomposition is ideal because it focuses on fat loss and preserving muscle mass, which makes it easier to burn more calories at rest. Number 2, it's sustainable. Because you're taking a slower approach, a more gradual approach, you have a more sustainable approach to weight loss, right? So it might not take you a month to lose 15 to 20 pounds. It might take you 3 months, but because you're doing it slowly and gradually, typically you'll keep that weight off because you're not going to have the yo-yo dieting. You're not going to drop weight drastically, get frustrated, gain all the way back. It will be slowly and gradually, right? Number 3 is you're preserving muscle mass. You're building and preserving muscle mass. Like I mentioned, when you have muscle mass, the more muscle mass you have on you, the more efficient your resting metabolic rate is, meaning you're burning more calories at rest. I'm sitting here burning more calories simply because I have more muscle mass on me, right? Number 4 is it changes your appearance. You're no longer just losing weight, you're actually losing fat. And contrary to popular belief, fat is not what gives you that bulky look, right? Contrary to popular belief, muscle is not what gives you that bulky look. I apologize. Muscle actually gives you that toned, lean, defined physique you want. Fat is what gives you that bulky look. So the more muscle you have on you, the leaner and more toned you look. But the more fat you have on you, the more bulkier you look. That's why if you're just losing a lot of weight, you're losing muscle mass, you're also losing fat mass, you lose weight, you'll weigh less, but you'll still look the same. Whereas if you're focused on losing fat, you'll weigh less, you'll have more muscle, and you look a lot different. You look more toned and you'll have that defined physique you want. So the last one, probably the most important, is you're building good habits, right? You're building good habits, you're learning how to eat better, you're learning how to exercise better, and these are habits that you can maintain for life. And the more you maintain that, the more you can maintain the results. A lot of people that go about losing weight by doing cardio, drastic caloric deficits, all that stuff, they lose the weight, but when they hit a plateau, they get frustrated, they quit, they return back to their old habits. Body recomposition, it forces you to change your habits. You're changing the way you eat. You're learning how to eat better, how to eat smarter. Because of that, you can keep the results for longer, right? All right, cool. So how do you go about doing body recomposition? How do you go about achieving this? How do you go about losing fat as opposed to just losing weight? I'm glad you asked. It's actually very simple. We're going to dive into that today. So there's a couple of things that you have to do. Let me do this. I love doing this. Class is in session. So the number one thing is you have to have a realistic time frame, right? A lot of people just want to have quick results. Oh, I have a trip in 2 months. I want to lose 30 pounds in 2 months. That's not realistic. When you set unrealistic time frames, you end up doing things that cause you to lose weight but not lose fat. And once again, you get stuck in that yo-yo cycle. You lose the fat, your body looks the same, you're unsatisfied, you hit a plateau, you gain the weight back. Instead, if you set a realistic time frame, let's say instead of trying to lose 30 pounds in 2 months, you give yourself 3 months or 4 months. Now you can actually go about things in a gradual way. You can actually lose not only just the weight, but also lose fat. And because you're changing your habits, you can maintain it long term. So number one is set a realistic time frame. Number two, you actually have to lift weights. You have to incorporate weightlifting at least 3 to 4 days a week. You don't need to be in the gym 6-7 days. That's overkill. That's too much. You don't need to be in the gym 2 to 3 hours. That's overkill. All you really need is 45 to 60 minutes of focused strength training. You need to do legs. You need to do chest. You need to do shoulders. Don't just say, oh, I don't care about growing big shoulders. You have to be well-rounded. You have to lift weights 3 to 4 times a week. You can do full body workouts, or you can do muscle-specific workouts, such as back and biceps, chest and shoulders, legs, glutes, hamstrings, quads. You can do that, but you do have to be in the gym. Number three, not only it's not enough to be in the gym, you also have to have progressive overload. As I mentioned before, you can't just stay at the same exact weights, the same 5-10 pound dumbbells for 3 months, 6 months. You have to progressively increase. You have to force yourself outside your comfort zone. It's only by tearing down your muscle fibers, by breaking down your muscle fibers, that your body is forced to repair them stronger than they were before. And when it repairs them, that's when you build muscle. That's when you grow stronger. And when you build muscle, you improve your metabolism and you burn fat, right? So you do have to have some level of progressive overload. Number four, and this is one of the biggest mistakes people make, as you saw with Maya, don't have a drastic, crazy caloric deficit. You only need 200 to 250 calorie deficit. 200 to 250 calories deficit is more than enough, right? Because keep in mind, 3,500 calories is 1 pound. So if you're in a 500 calorie deficit every day, over the period of a week, you lose a pound. But then on top of that, if you're in a 500 deficit every single day and you're lifting weights 3 to 4 times a week, right? And you're moving more, you likely lose at least 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds. So 250 to 500 is more than enough. And when you do that, you're not as hungry, meaning you don't end up binge eating when you get hungry. You don't end up restricting yourself from the food you enjoy. You actually can do this in a sustainable manner, right? So 250 to 500. I hope you're taking notes. Number five, you have to have a good mix of HIIT workouts, high intensity interval training, as well as NEAT. I want to do some quick math for you, right? In a week, there's 168 hours. Let's say you're only working out 4 times a week for 1 hour at a time. 4 out of 168 is literally 2.3% of your week. So if you're relying on those gym sessions to be the reason you're losing weight, to be the reason you're losing fat, it doesn't make any sense. 2% of your week is what you're relying on to see progress, right? Whereas if you're more active throughout the day, if you do things that force you to be active, especially if you're like me and you have a sedentary job, you're sitting down all the time, you have to move more. Take the stairs when you're going upstairs, park further, walk to the grocery store, do different things that force you to be more active daily, because that's going to have a much greater impact than the 1 hour of lifting weights you're in the gym. The gym is not meant to burn calories. The gym is meant to build muscle, right? If you're building muscle, you're improving your metabolism. And if you're active throughout the day, you're improving your metabolism. That's the goal of body recomposition. Maximize your metabolism, build muscle, and lose fat. not burn calories. Because when you maximize your metabolism and you build muscle, naturally you will lose fat. Make sense? Cool. The last thing that you need to do to accomplish body recomposition, you have to pay attention to your macronutrients. You have to pay attention to macronutrients, specifically protein, right? As I mentioned earlier, most people tend to consume way too many carbs, way too much fat, and don't consume anywhere near enough protein. A good rule of thumb is 0.8 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Meaning, if you weigh 150 pounds, you should be aiming for about 120 to 180 grams of protein per day. For some people, but that might be too much, especially if you've never even pushed yourself to eat that much protein. So you do have to prioritize protein. In terms of macronutrient breakdowns, the proportion that I recommend when you're trying to lose fat and build muscle is typically about 30 to 40% of calories should be protein. About 30 to 40% of your calories should come from protein, right? About 25 to 30% of your calories should come from fats. And about 30 to 40% of your calories should come from carbs, right? Makes sense? Very simple. 30 to 40 from protein, 25 to 30 from fats, and 30 to 40 from carbs. If you do that and you're consistent with it, you do have to track. With all this stuff, you have to track. It's impossible to know how much protein you're eating, how much carbs you're eating, how many calories you're eating if you're not tracking. That's the difference with losing weight versus losing fat and doing body recomposition. With body recomposition, you do have to pay attention. You do have to track and be aware of how much you're consuming. Otherwise, it will be hard to actually know where you're at, right? I'm not saying this is something you'll have to do for the rest of your life, but at the very least, I would recommend doing it for a minimum of 3 months because you learn so much just by tracking, right? It's the same like wanting to buy a house and they tell you, hey, if you want to buy a house, we have to keep track of all the money you're making, what's going into your account, what's going out of your account. They have to keep track of that, right? But that's essentially all I have for you guys today. I know that was a lot. I hope this was helpful for you. So if you did find this helpful, comment the word value. But before I let you go, I want to make a proposition for you. I know this can be a lot to figure out at once, especially if you are a parent, especially if you work a very demanding job, especially if you just have a very hectic schedule. Trying to figure out your calories and your macros and the workouts to do, it can be a lot. So I want you to do me one thing. If you'd like my help in simplifying this whole process and creating a structure, creating a one-on-one personalized program that you can follow, go ahead and DM me the word FIT on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at Frank Giogo. My name is on the first page of this, FRANK J, I as in junior, JIOGO, Frank Giogo. DM me the word FIT. And I'll send you the next steps. We'll create a one-on-one plan that you can follow for the next 3, 6, 12 months to help you get to where you want to get. That way you can transform your body. That way you can escape that yo-yo dieting cycle where you lose 10 pounds, gain it back, lose 15 pounds, gain it back. And you can finally make sustainable progress. And once again, if you found this valuable, then do me a favor and comment the word value. Comment the word value. That lets me know that you did enjoy watching this, that you did learn from this, and the more people comment value, the more people I see enjoy this, the more likely I am to make more. So again, this is my Instagram. If you need my help to do some one-on-one help, go ahead and DM me the word FITS, and I'm more than happy to help out. I appreciate you taking your time to watch this. If you have any questions or any feedback, DM me on Instagram. Peace.